Whether you love them or hate them, Immortal is undeniable one of the most important black metal bands of all history. They've been around since forever, and Avid's Corpse Paint is the most recognizable and copied of all of them. And on a much more personal note, they are one of my favorite black metal bands of all time. They are actually one of the two bands that ever got me into black metal to begin with. I love this band so much that I actually have their old logo tattooed right here on my back. That's how awesome they are. And that's why this particular rankings video is going to be extremely hard for me, because I really love a lot of these albums. Some of these I would definitely call masterpieces in black metal. Anyway, hello guys and welcome to a new video, and welcome to my channel where we talk about everything music from death metal to Queen and everything in between. In today's video, I'll be talking about and ranking all of Immortal's albums. On this list, obviously, I'm only going to include all of Immortal's albums, so none of Avid's solo albums are going to be included here. So let's get started. At the very bottom of this list, we have one of the most anticipated releases in my life, to be honest. 2009's All Shall Fall. And don't get me wrong, this album is pretty good. I love the artwork, I love all the attention to detail, the production quality is great, it sounds awesome, and it starts out with two killer songs, All Shall Fall and The Rise of Darkness. But then it kind of just plateaus and dips right after that. It only has 7 songs and the album just sort of ends. I mean, usually with Immortal albums, you can actually sense which one is the last song, even if you're not looking at the track list or even paying attention, because they actually have some sort of closure. They actually feel like closures. But the last song on this album, The Unearthly Kingdom, kind of just ends. It just wraps up the album and there's no sense of closure there. It kind of feels like they ran out of ideas or just plain old ran out of time, which it's not really the case. I mean, they could have added 1 or 2 more songs, no problem. So yeah, a great album nonetheless, just my least favorite of the bunch. This album marks the departure of longtime vocalist and frontman Avid from the band. Next up, my second least favorite album goes to 2018's Northern Chaos Gods. Now this album I actually really like, and it's the one album I don't actually own by them. It really feels like a return to form. This album marks the return of Demoness as the guitar player, something that hadn't happened since 1997, and it definitely shows. It really feels and sounds like old school Immortal, which I really love. It would have been awesome if they had the old logo on the album's cover. That would have been great. But I mean, to be fair, they did change the logo while Demoness was still the guitar player. So yeah. The next album on this list, Damned in Black from the year 2000. This is a really cool album. I mean, you've got the title track, Triumph, Wrath from Above is one of my favorite black metal songs of all time. The Darkness That Embraced Me is really cool and awesome. I mean, from this album on, I love, and I mean I love every one of these albums. So yeah, not an easy decision to rank this guy so low. But man, I just love the other albums so much that, you know, someone had to be down here. And it's Damned in Black. Also, this is the first album to actually have a full lineup again, having Iskaria, who is going to be on this album and the next one on bass. On number 6 on this list, we have Blizzard Beast from 1997. The last one to actually feature the full lineup with Demoness included in it, because he suffered from tendonitis and didn't play guitar for a long time. He actually quit playing guitar for Immortal until the last album, but he was always involved with the band. He actually wrote most of the band's lyrics, so of course when Abath decided to leave, he and Horg, the longtime drummer, decided, hey, we'll keep on doing this. Immortal will live on. Which makes sense. I mean, the band is called Immortal. It can't just die because the singer decided to leave, you know? Anyway, getting into the top 5, on the 5th spot we have this guy right here, Sons of Northern Darkness. This album, along with Dimmu Borgir's Enthroned Darkness Triumphant, got me into black metal, and boy did they hit hard. Man, this album was so awesome, particularly that one song, Beyond the North Waves. That song just hooked me. I mean, for some reason, I was just drawn to that song. That, you know, the darkness and the coldness of that song. It just felt like winter all year round. Mind you, back then I was a teenager living in Miami. Imagine, you had the beaches, the tropical weather, the heat, the salsa music. It was just not a happy place for Pat. So I would just play this bad boy all day long and just listen to the music and just read the lyrics, and I would imagine myself being in sub-zero weather, just being cold, like surrounded by mountains. You know, the grass is always greener, right? Some of my favorite songs from this album are of course the title track, Sons of Northern Darkness, Within the Dark Mind, In My Kingdom Cold, Antarctica, and of course, Beyond the North Waves. Awesome album. Now it's actually starting to get really hard for me to choose, but number 4 today, and if you would have asked me this maybe a year ago, I would have been like, no, this is one of my favorites, like top 2. But now, having listened to them before this video again, just the production quality is just not there. It's just a little bit too hectic, a little bit too sloppy. I mean, you had Abbott on drums and he killed it. But you also had Demonaz and Abbott on bass and vocals, and I have a feeling that it might have been a little rushed. But here's my number 4, an amazing album and a great album title, 1995's Battles in the North. I mean, the title track is killer, Through the Halls of Eternity, At the Stormy Gates of Mist, Grim and Frostbitten Kingdoms, and also Descent into Imminent Silence. Those are awesome songs, man. Awesome songs. Great album. Probably the most brutal Immortal album of all of them. And one of the most brutal black metal albums out of all of black metal. Go listen to it. Now going into the top 3, and this is also super hard, but out of the 3, this is definitely number 3. I mean, it's just the way it is. The production quality, again, is not that great. The drumming is a little off sometimes, but this is definitely a great effort, especially given the fact that this was their debut album. Spot number 3 goes to 1992's Diabolical Full Moon Mysticism. Now this guy is raw, is evil, it checks all the boxes. It's got some great tunes. Obviously my favorite song on this album is the opener, Call of the Winter Moon, which actually has one of the funniest video clips I have ever seen. But it also has some really cool songs like Cold Winds of Funeral Dust, Blacker Than Darkness, Unholy Forces of Evil, and the epic closer, A Perfect Vision of the Rising Northland. Great album. A must have if you're into black metal. Now for the top 2, that was really hard. This was the toughest spot for me to choose an album over the other. Because here's the deal, I mean, I really like them both. One of them, I really enjoy the guitar work and the musical aspects of it, and of course the production quality is great. Now the other one, however, is an iconic milestone of black metal. So between At the Heart of Winter and Pure Holocaust, it's a tough choice. Tough choice indeed. I mean, I love every single song on this album. It's got great production quality. This is from 1997, by the way, and it sounds great. And it's also the first album without Demonaz as a guitar player. So we have Abbott on guitars here and bass, but we actually get Horg on drums. Now, Horg's drumming and tone is just awesome. It just works. I mean, Abbott was great, but he was no Horg. This guy can beat the Skins. Now this guy, on the other hand, just every song here is epic. It just sounds brutal, it's dark, it's evil. It just defines black metal. Also one of the most epic black metal covers of all time. I mean, you've got Abbott, Demonaz, and Eric, who did not record on the album, but they used this picture anyway because they felt like they needed to at least be a trio. So yeah, you got the all logo. I mean, I like every song on this album. Like Solarfall is one of my favorite songs of all time. I actually cover that on my channel. But Tragedy's Blow at Horizon is really good. At the Heart of Winter, The Silent Years of Sorrow, Where Light and Dark Don't Differ, and of course the opening track, Withstand the Fall of Time, is really good. Right from the get-go, it's a great album all around. But this guy defines black metal. Also, this is one of the only albums I can think of where the guitars are actually tuned up to F standard, which is actually half a step up from standard guitar tuning for you non-guitar players. Whereas, most bands actually tune down to like, D or even E flat or C or C sharp or even B, They're always trying to tune down so that you get more depth, more like oomph, more of that, bottom end, more heaviness. I don't really agree with that statement, but a lot of people say, the lower it is, the heavier it sounds. I don't find that to be true. This album is plenty heavy and it's actually tuned up. Now on this album, you actually get awesome songs like As the Eternity Opens, The Sun No Longer Rises, A Sign for the Norse Hordes to Ride, and of course the opener, And Silent Storms in the North Abyss. I mean, this album embodies what black metal is all about. So spot number 1, I'm sorry dude, you rule. But man, Pure Holocaust, 1993 takes it. Man, this is one perfect album. This guy should be taught in schools. I mean, this album is a perfect example of what black metal should be. I mean, the lyrical content, the aesthetics of it, everything is perfect. Even the sound. I mean, it's just on that sweet spot where it sounds raw and evil, but it still sounds good, but it's not over processed or over like edited. It just sounds awesome. this is a killer album. Anyway guys, so that's my ranking for all of Immortal's albums. Please drop me a comment in the comment section down below and let me know what's your favorite album, or better yet, if you want, just rank him so that I can see that. I love comments like those. Of course, don't forget to drop me a like, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel like a man if you haven't yet. And if you really enjoy the content and you want to contribute, please go visit my Patreon. A little goes a long way and we surely do appreciate it. I will see you guys next time. Pat out, metal on dudes.